Tov Loch. My dear friends, let's give some tzedakah. Let's do it together. The Pushka, Tehillim, tzedakah, and now a little Dvar Torah. And since we're approaching Lag Baomer this coming Tuesday, I want to try in the next few days, that is, if Chas v'Shalom we will still be in Galus, we will not be celebrating yet Lag Baomer in Yerushalayim with Mashiach. I want to give you some background to this whole festive, special day of Lag Baomer. And as you can hear the background music, this is typical Lag Baomer music connected to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So what's the story? The Talmud in Yevamis describes how during the period of Sfiras HaOmer, which we know between Pesach and Shavuos, the plague that killed unfortunately 24,000 students, as we had opportunity to talk about it. Now this stopped on Lag Baomer. Lag, which means 33, Lamed Gimel, the 33rd day of the Omer, which is the 18th day of the month of Iyar. Interesting. Chai, 18th. So this is when the plague stopped. But there's also an additional important event in this day, because this is also the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing, several decades later, I should say, of the great sage and mystic Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, best known as the principal author of the Zohar, which is a fundamental text of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism. And it says in the Zohar that on the day of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's passing, Rabbi Shimon revealed extremely profound and new ideas, mystical ideas to his students. And he told clearly that on the day of his passing, they shouldn't mourn, but there should be a day of rejoicing. Because just as he's rejoicing with his imminent reunion with God, so too everybody should be rejoicing. And in fact, all over the world, Lag Baomer is marked with festive outings and picnics, famous parades. Children go out in the woods and play with bows and arrows. We eat carob, and we will discuss some of these customs. In Israel itself, tens of thousands and probably hundreds of thousands gather in the small village of Meron, where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is buried. And certainly we will not forget to mention the tragedy which happened 2 years ago, where 45 of those pilgrims unfortunately were trampled to death. Now, that night of Lag Baomer is lit by bonfires, singing and dancing, in an extremely unusual, joyous moment. Now, where does the origin of this pilgrimage come from? So what's very interesting, the first documented account of the custom of visiting Meron and Lag Baomer is actually found by a fascinating letter by Rabbi Ovadia bar Tenura. Rabbi Ovadia bar Tenura, who lived in the 15th and 16th centuries, was leader of the Jewish community in Israel, famous for his commentary on the Mishnah. There's no Mishnah that you can't go through without the bar Tenura. And he describes it very clearly, and he says, on the 18th day of the month of Iyar, the day of Lag Baomer, the anniversary of Rabbi Shimon's passing, Jews from all surrounding areas gather in Meron, where they light large fires and celebrate. And he continues, many barren couples conceive and many sick are healed in the merit of the charity that they give on this day for the upkeep of the gravesite. It's a day of tremendous blessing. It's a day of tremendous miracles. Rabbi Chaim Vital, one of the main students of the Arizal, famous Kabbalist, writes in his Shara Kavanot the following, that his teacher, and he writes, my teacher, my master, the Arizal, traveled there on the first Lag Baomer after he arrived in Israel from Egypt. He went there with his family and his disciples, and he stayed there for 3 days. Another one of his disciples of the Arizal writes, Rabbi Yonasan Sagis, that the Ari and his entire family traveled to Meron or Lag Baomer, and there he writes about this custom of giving his son his first haircut. What's the meaning? As we know that we do not give a haircut to a little boy until the age of The first haircut he gets is when he turns 3 years old. Now, what do you do with a child who is born during the Omer? During Pesach and Shavuos, or at least during Pesach and Lag Baomer, we cannot take a haircut. So they wait till Lag Baomer, and on the day of Lag Baomer, they bring the child to Meron, and over there they give him the haircut. So as to start the child's life with the payas, with the kippah, with the tzitzis, as the customs are, and they do it right next to the gravesite of Rabbi Shimon. Today, we will do it on the parades, which we'll discuss tomorrow, God willing, that we do this on the float of the parade. We do the haircut. Like Baomer also, the halacha says we don't say tachanun, we celebrate, and may God help us that we will celebrate it with Mashiach, with Rabbi Shimon in the Beis Hamikdash.